hi, hello, my name is dis.cat. This is Project Hardcover, where we're letting books be the escape. Hello, lovelies, and today for you I have my June book haul. For those of you who don't know, I have already done a graphic novel book haul this month, which you guys can check out right here. High five, high five. But now is when I'm going to be hauling all of my regular books. And I have acquired quite a few books this month, so I'm just going to hurry up and jump right into it. Let's get started. Now, these couple of books right here, I'm just going to go through really fast, just going to show them to you because all of these are books that I already own. I just bought duplicate copies for my annotation purposes. You guys have been paying attention to my channel, I've mentioned this a few times. Wanted to get my hands on some duplicates so I could write and highlight in them and stuff. That's basically what all of these are, so I'm just gonna go through them real quick and show them to you. Not gonna go into too much detail about it. It's just whatever. The first of these books is actually not physically in my possession at the moment. I lent it to a friend, which is also like another grand purpose of me buying duplicates of these books. These are like my favorite books of all time, and I feel really antsy about like lending them out to people because they're like my only copies, but now I have spares to lend out to people, so that's super good. But anyway, the first one is Maggot Moon by Sally Gardner. The next one is Without You, a memoir of love, loss, and the musical Rent by Anthony Rapp. Next is Running with Scissors by Augustin Burroughs. Both of these books, both Without You and Running with Scissors, are actually non-fiction books. Some of the only non-fiction books I've ever really read. Next, we have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. These are the Harry Potter signature editions, which are so beautiful. I'm hoping to get my hands on the rest of these editions so that in December I can do a Harry Potter Christmas reread, which it seems like everybody in the world does like every Christmas except me. So I want to try it out. I want to see what all of the hubbub is about reading the Harry Potter during the winter time. Next we have the paperback movie tie-in edition of The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. Then we have this really vintage edition of The Devil's Arithmetic by Jane Yolen. This one's really old. This was like published in like 1988. Apologies to anyone who was born in the 80s. I'm not saying you're old, I'm just saying for a book, you know, this is pretty old. It's a little banged up, but it was really nice and it was really cheap, so I got this one because it's so nice. I like this so much. Then we have yet another copy of An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. And lastly, we have a hardback edition of Going Bovine by Libba Bray. I got this because I already own a paperback, so now I can keep the hardback nice and clean and perfect, and I can write in the paperback edition. And that's it. Those are all of the books that I bought for annotation purposes. I got the majority of these books at local Goodwills, but I also got a couple of them from AB Books. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'll leave a link to them down in the doobly-doo. They just have a really great selection of used books, sometimes as low as like $1 with like $2 shipping. It's really awesome. That's where I bought quite a few of those. They're fantastic. Go check them out. And now on to the rest of the books that I acquired this month, which were also an equal mix of books that I picked up from Goodwill and books that my dad brought home for me. The first of these books would be The School of Good and Evil by Soman Chinani, and the sequel, A World Without Princes, also by Soman Chinani. Yes, so I have been hearing nothing but the best possible things about this series from a friend of mine here on BookTube, Ivan from Sona Azra. I think that's how you pronounce it. I try. He's a gem. He actually put up, you know, like a banner on his channel so that I could pronounce his channel name correctly, and I'm probably still butchering it, so it's no longer his fault, it's mine. But still, nonetheless, he has been going on about how fantastic the series is for the longest time, and I've been wanting to get my hands on it for the longest time. So when I went to my local Goodwill and I saw the first book for like $1, I of course picked it up, and then, as luck would have it, like the very next day, my dad brought home the second book, both in hardcover, and it was so perfect. It was fate. So I am just really, really excited to get to these. Basically, what I know about this is it's about a school that basically teaches, you know, young girls and boys how to, like, behave in fairy tales. Like, it teaches, you know, pretty girls how to be princesses and, like, ugly girls how to be villains and stuff like that. But apparently there is a lot of, like, really awesome themes that go on in here, like gender identity and sexual orientation and stuff. Themes like that are brought up, and considering how this is a middle grade series, that is just so hella cool. So I am really, really excited to get to these. The next book that I picked up at my local Goodwill was Horns by Joe Hill. Yes, so I didn't even know that this was a thing, of course, until the Daniel Radcliffe movie came out. And then just the entire premise sounded so freaking interesting. And then I saw Raylene from Padfoot and Prongs had read this, and she said it was really good. So then I was just like, yeah, I kind of really need to read that. And then I walk into my local Goodwill, and I see it there for like $1, and I'm just like, yep, that's going home with me. I don't know an awful lot about what this book is about, but based on what I've gathered, it's about a young man who is just slowly turning into the devil. And it's written by Stephen King's son. I mean, just come on, like, how much better can something get than that? This next book is a book that my dad brought home for me. Again, my dad just has really uncanny ways of knowing books that I either need or am kind of wanting at the moment. And he brought home this just beautiful edition of East of Eden by John Steinbeck. So I've been mentioning as of late how I've really wanted to get into reading classics that I haven't read yet, because I miss classics. I haven't read a really good classic since my last English class in college, which was a couple of semesters ago. And I really wanted to get into some John Steinbeck, considering how the only book I've ever read by him is Of Mice and Men, and it was okay. I had to read it for high school, so of course that just dampened the, like, entire reading experience. So I wanted to read something else by him, and then my dad brings this home. So that was just, I don't know, my dad just has really good intuition like that. I don't know an awful lot about what this book is about. I think it's basically just about a guy who moves his family to California and them trying to create a sustainable life for themselves. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that John Steinbeck is one of the most beloved authors of, like, all time, so I really want to delve into his stuff some more, and I figure I have this now, might as well start with it. These next two books were more Goodwill finds, and they're by another extremely popular author that I have just so little experience with, and I kind of want to change this, and that is Sarah Dessen, and the books that I picked up by her were Luck and Key and Along for the Ride. Yes, so Sarah Dessen has like 8 million books, and it seems like if you are a normal functioning teenage girl, you have read at least 3 or 4 of Sarah Dessen's books, yet I have only ever read 1. Yes, the only Sarah Dessen book I have ever read was Just Listen, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I haven't picked up more of her books. I've been meaning to since I read Just Listen. It just never happened. But I walked into Goodwill and I saw these, and they were cheap and in really good condition, so I picked them up. I know that Lock and Key is one of her more popular ones. I haven't heard an awful lot of Along for the Ride, but they were there and they were cheap, so I figured, why not? I also don't know, like, really anything about what these books are about. I just know that they are contemporary reads, and I'm sure they deal with, you know, teenage girls going through some difficult things, because apparently that's, like, Sarah Dessen's thing. So, yay! Don't you just love when I know nothing about the books that I pick up? It's so informative to you guys. This next book that I picked up at Goodwill, I feel so bad about having not read, considering how it's like one of the only books in existence that my best friend has asked me to read. Usually it's me telling all of my friends to read books. They, like, never tell me to read anything. So when they do recommend a book to me, I usually try my best to read it because it's such a rare thing. And she really wanted me to read this book. She really wanted me to read it before the movie came out so we could go see the movie together. And I never did it. But I'm gonna try and fix that. I'm gonna try and read it sometime this year. And that book is If I Stay by Gail Forman. That's right! I have not read this book, which I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person in the world now who hasn't read this book. So yes, like I said, my friend recommended that I read this book forever ago, and I just never got around to doing it. I don't know why. I just didn't, and I just felt so bad. So when I saw it at the Goodwill, and she was with me at the Goodwill, I like snatched it up and I grabbed it and I said, look, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna read it. It's gonna happen. Like, I own it now. It's gonna happen. So like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in the world who has not read this book yet, but if you don't know what this book is about, it is about a young girl named Mia whose entire family gets into a car accident and they all die except for her. She ends up in a coma, and it's basically about Mia, like, being in a coma, but, like, looking out on her life and trying to decide whether she's going to stay and, you know, live the rest of her life, or if she's going to let herself die. Yeah, real light reading this is gonna be. And then the last two books that I picked up this month were also Goodwill books, and they're kind of a nostalgic kind of thing for me in some weird way, and they are the first two books in the Vladimir Tod Chronicles, the Chronicles of Vladimir Tod, the first of which is 8th Grade Bites, and then the second one is 9th Grade Slays. And these books are both by Heather Brewer. Yes, so this is a series that a friend of mine in high school was really into when we were in high school. Like, she read all of the books, and there's like a subsequent, like, I think it's like a companion series that follows this. She read like all of them. And she was constantly telling me to read them, but I was always constantly reading something else, per usual. So I never got around to it, but I saw them at Goodwill, and these things were like 50 cents because they're so small. So I was like, I'm gonna pick those up. Those are really small, they'll be really quick reads, and my friend really liked them, and we have very similar taste in literature, so I'll probably really like them. So I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. Also, don't know tons and tons about what this series is about, but as best of my knowledge, it's about this boy named Vladimir Tod who is a vampire and him trying to get through high school. And that is it. Those are all of the books that I picked up this month. I'm actually really proud of myself. Like, I spent maybe 30 bucks on all of these books because I bought like all of them used. Though, I guess all of the money that I normally would have put into buying books is spent on graphic novels this month. Oh, well, that feeling lasted for like 5 minutes. Let me know down in comments if you guys have read any of these books, what you thought of them, especially the first couple of ones that I held up, the ones for annotation purposes. Let me know if you read those, because those are some of my favorite books of all time, and I would love to geek out with people about them because they're fabulous and amazing and wonderful. As always, thanks you guys for watching. I will see you next time, and remember, books are the escape.